Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. You're listening to the Service Business Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Tersh. This podcast is focused on service business owners, managers, and technicians who are considering becoming business owners themselves. My goal with this podcast is to ask the guests on this podcast questions that you may not have thought to ask to help arm you so that you become a better business owner, manager, or technician. I'm your host, Tersh. If at any time during this podcast episode you have a question or think about something that you'd like to ask me or for me to reach out to the guest to ask them, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is tersh@icebound.us. That's spelled Tersh at icebound.us. Or reach out to me on any social media platform. It's at Tersh Blissett, TershBlissett. It's pretty much the handle that I have everywhere. And don't hesitate to reach out to me. All right, so on today's episode, it's a super exciting one. I know I say that a lot, but this one is very exciting. They're all exciting. Well, they are to me anyways. But on today's episode, we're going to talk to Bradley Beaner. And the things that we talked about. So I recorded this episode a few months ago, actually. By now, it's been a few months ago. And I started doing a lot of the things that we talked about in this episode as soon as we recorded. I've noticed a climb in my SEO ranking already. There's a lot of really cool things and tips and tricks, and pay close attention is all I got to say, and take notes because as I was taking notes throughout this entire interview, it was really mind-blowing, actually, the things that I really didn't even think about. And since recording this episode and talking to some other people, it's been really cool watching everything that he said come true and really come to make a difference in my post. I guess with that being said, let's get started with the show. All right, so welcome to the show, Bradley.
Hi, Tersh. Thanks for having me.
So a little bit about you. So our audience is, as you know, pretty much service business owners. So across the threshold of a house, we have a lot of household service companies, but there's also some commercial companies out there also that listen to the podcast. A little bit about you, your background. You do internet marketing currently, but that's not what you've always done. So tell us a little bit about how you got into where you're at now today.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think it's your listeners ought to appreciate this kind of a background story. Is I was an electrician for almost 20 years. I got started in high school with electrical apprenticeship program, vocational school, and became an electrician's helper for and an apprentice, and did that through high school, and then got my certification, my journeyman's card right outside of high school, and did residential new construction for the first several years, and then got into actually joined the union, the IBEW, and did some commercial and some heavy industrial work for a bit. Then ended up back into the non-union electrical contractors and did commercial build out work and some motor control work and stuff like that for many years. And then eventually I ended up getting my contractor's license and started to do more residential type work again. And then eventually I opened up my own contracting company and just did renovation type work. So I basically subcontracted out to kitchen remodeling companies, and I did a lot of remodeling type work for several years. And eventually that one of the kitchen remodel, my biggest supplier of work, he ended up closing down his business for various reasons, and that kind of put me in a pinch. And so I started having to generate my own work as opposed to just relying on the remodeling companies. And this was around 2009, 2010 ish time frame, and I had gotten had kind of a difficult time generating my own work from just knocking doors and passing out flyers door to door, or putting on mailboxes, that kind of stuff. And that's kind of the point that I was at with my business. And so I really needed to figure out how to generate leads for my own business. And at the time, I knew that the internet was probably a great way to generate leads, but I didn't know anything about it. I mean, honestly, I could
Mhm.
barely turn on a computer at that point, other than for basic Word docs and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
and I didn't really have the money to hire a web marketing or online marketing expert at the time, so it was kind of like left upon me to do it. It was up to me, and so I started researching in the evenings how to really to start with just search engine optimization and the 800-pound gorilla, which is Google. I started trying to figure out how to build websites, and at the time Google Maps was very, very new. It was showing up in the search results when you did a search with local intent, and so I figured that there was probably good opportunity there if I could figure out how to manipulate the search results. And I started studying it. And what was interesting was I first of all, I became obsessed with it. I was fascinated with the whole search engine optimization process and being able to manipulate this thing. And so I started testing by just building these little lead generation websites. I did it for myself, but I wanted to test across more than just one project. So I'd set up one for carpet cleaning, and I also did another one for locksmithing, services, and started applying different things that I was reading about and studying, and started getting some pretty good results, and started generating leads for my own business. And again, I was fascinated with this, almost obsessed with it, and I got pretty good at it. And so after about 6 or 8 months of really going down the rabbit hole and spending a lot of my time outside of my working hours on just studying and implementing what I was learning, I realized that I could not only generate leads for my own business, but I could also generate leads for a lot of the contractors that I knew, and make money from it. And so it wasn't too much longer. It was about another year that I actually continued doing electrical work while I was refining my skills or honing my skills in search engine optimization, and then started to build up these lead generation assets. So these digital properties that were generating leads for a lot of the contractors that I was working with, plumbers, HVAC contractors, flooring contractors, things like that, and painters, house painters. And so I started making some pretty good, very good money generating leads for other contractors. And eventually I realized that although I had always enjoyed the electrical trade, I could probably make more money, and it was easier as far as being able to stay home and work than it
Yeah.
was to go out and pull wire all day long. So I ended
And
up
what year was this? So
this,
you s
yeah, in 2010 is when I really started making money from
Gotcha.
generating leads from SEO basically.
Gotcha,
Um,
gotcha.
and then in 2000, and so from 2010 until about almost 2012, I kind of did a hybrid between electrical work and SEO work. And then in 2012, I had gotten to a point where I was generating enough money from lead generation, which again, those were all assets that I owned and controlled. In other words, I would go out and build the web properties, and once they would start generating leads, then I would either lease those assets to contractors for a flat monthly fee or have them pay me on a pay per lead basis. Um, yeah, and it was great, except what I found was I live in Virginia, and there's seasonal work here. I'm pretty sure it's probably seasonal across most of the country. In the winter, things slow down considerably. And so, although I had generated some really good money spring through fall or autumn, in the wintertime, I would have my income would drop considerably from the lead generation and SEO side of the business. And
Oh, yeah.
so in March of 2012, I had enough of a portfolio of sites and assets out there that I could prove to any type of business that I knew what I was doing. And so I opened up my own agency at that point, which is it's called Big Bamboo Marketing. And that's essentially it was just an SEO agency, but now it's an all-inclusive digital marketing agency. And I mainly about 90% of my clients now are contractors because I just, I come from that background. So but yeah, it was interesting. So in 2012, I started my agency, and I don't know, about within about a year, I had joined online a mastermind with other marketing folk, online marketing folk that were, it was kind of a high level mastermind. It was just kind of a training program thing, and I started a weekly accountability group with some of the members of the mastermind, just so we could share, what was working and what wasn't working, and different methods and stuff like that on a weekly basis. And about 6 months into that, we had it was about 6 months into it. Four of the other members and myself were the ones that were consistently sharing information about what was really working, and we had developed a following, people that kept showing up to these accountability group meetings but weren't contributing. They were just there to consume information and to learn. And so we realized, hey, we're on to something here. We've got a good thing going. And so we decided in 2013 to open up our own online marketing consulting and coaching agency. In other words, we just started developing training products based around the methods that we were sharing with each other that we knew worked in the real world for our own clients. And so we opened up Semantic Mastery, and that is currently, I still have my own agency. I still have a bunch of clients. I still do lead generation, but I also have Semantic Mastery and my founding the other four partners of mine, where we teach digital marketing to aspiring local online marketing consultants, as well as digital marketing agency owners. And that's one of the reasons why I'm actually talking with you today. We're looking to also expand out to the actual business owners, right? So instead of just teaching marketers how to market, we're also looking for the business owners, local business owners. So contractors are perfect for that, but that want to learn how to do their own marketing, or if they have somebody in house that is handling their marketing, instead of always outsourcing that. Because
Yeah.
let's be honest here, you know, using big box agencies for marketing, as you know, Tersh, I'm sure
Yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah.
typically the results are poor at best,
Yeah,
and they're very
you're just
expensive.
farmed through there. Like it's
Yeah.
just you're herded through that group, and then like, okay, here's your 13 minutes that we can work on your website.
That's right. And it's very expensive. And like you said, you're treated as a commodity and not, not really respected. And one of the things I love about working with contractors in my own agency is it's still just me. Like, I don't have any employees. I've got outsourcers that, contractors that I have, content writers and things like that I use, but I am still managing, and I'm in direct contact with all of my clients. Again, 90% of them are contractors, so I'm the one that sends out their monthly reports, and I send like a screencast video that I just upload to YouTube, and it's unlisted, but I send them every single month a video where I explain what's been done for the previous month and opportunities that I see that I'm going to work on the following month, and that way it's direct communication. And so that's how we teach our marketing students, right? We teach our marketing students to have that kind of, it's more of a hands-on approach. And because, again, as you know, Tersh, in this industry, you get we all get hounded by solicitors from marketing and advertising agencies all the time that treat us just like commodities.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely. They
and it's
come
just
come out of the woodworks as soon as you do a Google search on it. They're there everywhere for
that's
like
right.
weeks on time for sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully they're not. I'm not bad mouthing any advertisers on your show or
No.
anything, but like for example, Yelp, they're relentless. They never stop
Oh
calling.
yeah.
Once you're a local business and you're registered in Google, you're going to get hounded three times a week by Yelp representatives trying to sell you advertising. Or
Yep.
how's another one? How about Home Advisor? You guys
Oh
like those
yeah.
calls you get all the time?
We have so many leads in your area. We
Yeah,
need you to take them.
and no matter how many times you tell them no, they never leave you alone.
That's
You
right.
know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So again, yeah, so Semantic Mastery is it's great because we really started just teaching other marketers, but we've developed a training that can be applied to the actual end user, the business owners, as well as we've developed our own done for you services store. So essentially, we I've gotten really involved in training virtual assistants on our processes and methods. And so we've built a team that actually can provide the services of the training, that, in other words, the stuff that we teach, we can now provide those as done for you services. So that, because let's be honest, a lot of people can go through training, but the implementation never gets done because of lack of time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So that's kind of where we're at with that. But I still really enjoy putting on my tool belt when I get the opportunity. It's not very often anymore, but
That's cool. I get it totally. I'm the same way. I'll go out in the field with the guys sometimes, and it's like, yeah, it's cool. Like I get to go out here and troubleshoot this problem.
yeah,
But yeah, I enjoy the office side also too. But
yeah.
it is nice to put the tool belt on every now and
I
then.
think I think they both have their ups and downs. You know what I mean?
Oh yes, absolutely, 100%. So, with this semantic mastery, is that is that like an online course that you offer, or is it how is that set up for the tech? I mean, for the business owner.
Well,
So,
so what we do is, we have several different online training courses, so that they're like one-off purchases, but so for different methods. For example, as you and I are going to talk about today, um, one of the best things right now, the hottest things that any local business can do, especially contractors, in my opinion, is use Google My Business to generate leads, right? Which is used to be Google Maps, but now it's called Google My Business, and that's where you manage all of your tools that Google gives you to promote your business within Google, and it's incredibly powerful. And if you know how to manipulate, how to do it right, right. And so we've got, like, for example, we've got one of our training programs called Local GMB Pro, and that is something that can be applied specifically to get results from Google My Business. So that's one of several type of products like that we have. So we teach different methods. We teach about how to use press releases. We teach about how to use pay-per-click marketing, which, things like that. So those are different courses. But then we have a weekly, um, free weekly webinar that we host on YouTube. It's called Hump Day Hangouts.
oh,
It's
sweet.
every single
I imagine
Wednesday.
it's Wednesdays.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's every Wednesday. And I think today is episode 231 or 232. So we've been
Oh
doing it
wow.
for almost, for over, well, about 4.5 years now.
Oh wow.
And that's free. It's an hour long every single week. Where people can come and ask any type of question they want about digital marketing, and we answer that. And that has been our biggest lead generator for our own business, because our YouTube channel has thousands of videos on it where, we answer these questions in these Hump Day Hangouts every week, and then we have somebody that's, again, we don't have any employees, but we have contract employees that, so one of our staff actually cuts up the video into individual questions and answers, the
Oh
long
sweet.
webinar, excuse me, and then we upload those as individual videos, so people can go to our YouTube channel and use the search channel function, and literally just search for a question like, how do you do this? And it's likely it's been answered before, and you'll pop up the video with the answer. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
that's crazy cool.
Yeah. So that's something that doesn't cost anything. And then, we have our top level coaching program, which is called our mastermind. It's a monthly subscription, but that's where really a lot of the agency owners come, or people that are really trying to build their own marketing consulting agency. They come and join that. And that's so that they can get, almost direct access to me and my partners at any time, and that kind of stuff.
Sweet. So let's get started with what we have going on today. So online lead generation through Google My Business. Super excited to hear about that. And there's a lot of changes that have recently taken place through Google with what is it, LSA, and changing up some rankings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm totally excited to get started with this portion of it
Yeah.
with you.
So one of the things that, one of the biggest shifts that has ever occurred since I started in 2010, like I said, or 2009, 2010, was
Hmm.
in July of 2018. They actually shifted to. I don't know if people know this, but there's really been like three sets of data that Google has. Three data centers really, where they combine the results. So let me explain. So first of all, there's the laptop and desktop search results. Those are the primary search results, or had been up until July 2018. Then when Google Maps really started to get traction, and when they started to show maps in the Google search results for search queries with local intent,
Hmm.
that the maps algorithm, or the maps data, is a different databases than the local, excuse me, than the main laptop and desktop search results data. Okay,
Mm.
so those were blended at the time when you started to see maps packs appear in the search results. Okay, and I don't know if you guys remember, years ago it used to be like a seven
Yeah.
pack would show up, and then
Hmm.
now it's a three pack.
Hmm.
And then there was, once mobile devices really started taking off, now 7 out of 10 Google searches originate from mobile device. Well, Google searches with local intent anyways. And so, mobile searches surpassed desktop and laptop searches. So they had a different database for that. And so what happened was, there was, up until July of 2018, the primary, if somebody went to google.com and performed a search, all of the search results, no matter which kind of device you were on, were influenced by the laptop and desktop results. So mobile results would reflect, they weren't always exact, but they were very similar to what you would see on the desktop laptop searches. But that shifted in July of 2018. Google said, okay, you know what, we're switching everything to what's called the mobile index first, and that's because mobile device usage is past that desktop
Oh,
laptop
wow.
usage. That's where it opened up this huge opportunity for local businesses and Google, and to use Google My Business to start generating leads.
Really?
Like, it's, yeah. And the reason why is because that's also part of the reason, if you guys have claimed your own Google My Business profile and you've ever logged into that dashboard, you know that there's a ton of different tools that they provide you now. Like, you've got the info tab that you can optimize your, your, if it's a service area business, you don't publish your address, you list your service areas. You have
Yep.
a service item menu now that you can go in and list, the different services that you offer, and pricing, if you have it. If it's varies, you can put, call for quote or call for estimate, and then put $0 as the actual price. But you want to fill that stuff out, because those, each of those, like, for example, as an HVAC company, you could have air conditioning repair, furnace repair, heat pump replacement. Like, all of those could be individual service items within the service item menu, and gives you the opportunity to optimize the description for each of those items. And it helps you to rank, because let's put it this way: if you use all of the tools that Google gives you and fully fill out your profile completely, and then use all of the tools that Google gives you, Google will reward your business with more exposure than your competitors that aren't doing that. So what used to be a dogfight with SEO, and you used to have to understand, so much stuff about SEO, this really kind of leveled the playing field, and it gave people just that were using the Google My Business platform and the tools there kind of an unfair advantage. And what kind of baffles my mind still is that a lot of people just don't. I guess they just don't. You can't know what you don't know.
Right,
and
right, right.
and a lot of people, just business owners, don't take advantage of those tools at all. And so, in comes somebody like me that knows this and can just help a business fully optimize their profile and start using the tools available. We'll cover some of those on this call today. um, and all of a sudden they can start generating leads. And what's really cool about it is, we used to always think about, you had to rank in Google at the top of the search results to generate leads, right?
Hmm.
um, and but that's no longer the case, and I'll kind of explain why here. Again, I'm fascinated by this stuff, so if I get a little bit into the
No, it's
weeds,
it's
pull
very
me back.
interesting. No, no, I love it because uh it's like you said, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of this stuff I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've done my business page." And then you said they updated it in 2018, and I'm guilty of not constantly checking it. So there could be stuff on there that I haven't even updated lately.
Oh, I'm
So
sure we're going to talk about some of those then. So, but yeah, so one of the things I want to talk about before I get into, like, actual optimization of the profile and some of the tools that you should be using in order to get these kind of results, is first, what did this mobile index first shift do to open up this huge opportunity? So, because mobile devices have taken over the prime, they're the most usage, most searches are coming from mobile devices. So Google made that shift. So now what happens is, we used to look at everything from ranking. So, like, I could be in Virginia and doing a checking on the search status or the search positioning of a client of mine, a contractor in Texas, right? And I could just, from Virginia, type in, HVAC service, Dallas TX, right? And I could do that kind of a search, and I could see the results that and they would be very similar to what somebody in Dallas, Texas, searching for HVAC service would see, right? My results in Virginia would reflect or be very closely similar to what they were from somebody actually in Dallas searching for HVAC service. Well, that changed with the mobile index first. Now, it's searches are influenced by where the search is being performed at. So what I mean by that is, if I'm doing a search for, again, HVAC service, Dallas, Texas, and Virginia from a desktop, and I do that, the results are going to look very different to me than they are from somebody on a mobile device in Dallas searching for HVAC service, whether they add the location modifier, the city name, or not. And most people don't, because Google understands from the GPS a setting on the phone, Google knows where they are, right? So, Google, a search with local intent, Google is going to display the results of the businesses that are physically close in proximity to where the searcher is at the time they performed the search query. So that opened up a huge opportunity, specifically with Google My Business tools, because now proximity is a big issue. So it's difficult for service area businesses to get results or traction. If you've got a wide service area, if you cover a 50-mile radius, it's likely that there's many businesses that are registered, have physical locations in that 50-mile radius, competitors essentially. And so there is kind of a drawback in that Google's going to want to display the people that are the businesses that are the closest in proximity to the searcher at the time of the search. But there's ways to influence that also. But why I said that opens up such a big hole is, or an opportunity really, is because with the tools that Google gives you in the Google My Business dashboard, they're all literally developed to serve mobile users, right? And so let's break that down a little bit. On the info tab inside the GMB dashboard, and I'm going to use GMB guys so that I don't have to keep saying Google My Business. Uh,
We get it.
in the GMB dashboard, the info tab is where you would start, and so that's where you would put, your address if you're a storefront, or if you have like a showroom, for example, then you would actually show your physical address. Otherwise, if for service area businesses, you're supposed to hide that address, and so it should just list your city really. But then there's the service area. Right? And so in the service area, you can go in and you can list all your service areas. And I recommend that you do that on a city by city basis, or you can do it like a full county at a time. That's fine. However it is your service areas. That's how I start. You don't do it by radius anymore. You actually have to list out county or city name, that kind of stuff. You could do a whole state. But then, like I said, underneath that is the service items menu. And that's where, again, that's underutilized right now. Totally underutilized. Not every business is going to have this. Just so you guys, if you're listening and you go check your own Google My Business dashboard and you don't see that, Google's still rolling some of these tools out to different industries. So if you don't see that, just be patient. It will be coming most likely. But the service item menu, you just click into that, it pops up a window and it allows you to add sections and then services within each section. So for example, I know Tersh, you and I were talking prior to the call, you said that one of your HVAC companies does also plumbing and electrical. So you could literally have a plumbing section, and then you could have service items that you do for plumbing, then an electrical section and service items for that. And each one of those now are, if you see it if you do a search for your business name on Google, you're not even going to really see that service menu. If you do a search from a desktop or a laptop on Google for your business name, you're not going to really see that service menu. But from a mobile device, there's an option. It says, services or menu, depends on what type of business it is. And it's a left-right scroll at the top of your knowledge panel. And knowledge panel is like your big, panel with your company name and, your primary cover image and the map and that kind of stuff. And you'll see that you can scroll left or right and at the top, and it's kind of like a navigation menu at the top of the Google listing. And there will be a services or a service menu or a menu type item that you can click. And when you do that, it pops up all of those different services and the pricing and that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm saying these are tools that are developed for mobile device searchers. All right. Next, you have your business description. You want to make sure that's well optimized. It only allows for 750 characters, so use them wisely. You don't want to spam that, obviously, but you do want to squeeze in some of your primary service keywords or product keywords, and then some of your primary locations. Okay, that's pretty much it. Business hours of operation. You want to make sure that's correct, and you want to make sure that's consistent other places that it's published, like business directories and such. And then you can add an opening date and that kind of stuff, but that doesn't really help that much, anyways. The next thing that I would recommend doing is photos, guys. Photos are incredibly important, and let me give you a little trick here or a hint about photos. Because I know a lot of contractors I work with are like, well, what kind of photos am I going to post? Well, post photos of your employees, your team, your trucks, your shop if you want to. Take photos from your phone when you're out on job sites and upload them frequently and regularly. And the reason I say that is because, once again, the GPS data on your phone gets impressed upon those images as metadata. It's called geotagging. Okay. And so if you're a service area business and you want, and as I just talked about, because the way Google works now, if you're located in Dallas, Texas, and which is a big metropolitan area, and you're in one specific zip code, you're physically like the company is registered and physically located in one zip code, then if you're on the other side of town, which is another zip code, it may be difficult to get traction in the maps pack for somebody that's searching on the other side of town, because Google's going to want to display results of HVAC companies in that side of town, right? So, but you can influence that and circumvent that proximity issue if you are taking photos from mobile devices, not from cameras, but from mobile devices that impress the GPS data upon those images in the metadata, and upload them to your Google My Business listing. And do that frequently and regularly from the different job sites, because now what happens is you start to tell Google, hey, this is my service area and here's proof. And you don't have to do anything to the image except upload it, because Google reads that data, and it knows, it starts to develop a profile of your business and says, okay, yeah, I recognize this. He's doing work, or they're doing work in this area. They do work in this area. And over time, you can start to influence the search results to start displaying your company, even though even if it's not within close proximity to where the searcher is at the time.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? Does that
So I
make
have a
sense?
quick question about that. So
Sure.
on ours, the guys will send me a text with the pictures, and then I usually will use a program to watermark it. Is that a that sounds like it's a bad
Okay.
idea?
Well, what I would recommend that you do is, because sending the image via text, I'm not 100% sure if it strips that metadata or not. It probably does, because it compresses the file quite a bit. So what I would recommend that you do is have all of your technicians install Google Photos app. Okay, if you're on an Android, you've already got it. If it's a iPhone, you can still install that app, and then always take the photos from their phone and just push those photos into the Google Photos shared album. And then, because that essentially uploads
Mhm.
it to the Google Cloud, and you can
Yeah.
access that from your laptop or your desktop, and you now you have the original file with the original
So
metadata on it.
if okay,
Does that
so
make
tell
sense?
me this: if I use, are you familiar with the program Adobe Spark Post? Um, okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, I've
if
heard
I
about it.
use
Yeah.
that, and because I can just add the image to that, and it automatically brands it for me. Whenever I go to
Mhm.
I save that. Is that metadata still there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all
So
right.
what I
So it's
was
not
saying
going to
was,
mess that
yeah,
up.
if you send the
Okay,
file and it gets compressed, and that a lot of times the metadata will get stripped out of it as part of the compression process. So again, texting a large photo from a
okay,
phone is oftentimes going to lose that. It's going to strip that data out. But if you are uploading it, or just really from a phone, it just moves into the Google Photos album, the shared photo album,
okay,
and then download that, put your watermark on it and save it, and then upload it to Google Photos at that, or excuse me, the Photos menu, or the Photos
hmm
section inside of Google My Business. Then all of that metadata should stay intact.
okay, perfect,
Okay,
awesome. I'll make sure we do that.
and that way, again, now you can start to Google starts to build a profile about your service area. You're proving to them that you indeed serve those areas, right? So that's a huge thing, guys. I'm not kidding. That's one of the best things that you can possibly do, is to get your technicians, or if it's a one man operation, just get in the habit of taking photos with your phone out on the job sites, before and after pictures, whatever you want to do, but just start uploading those, and that'll start to give you more exposure. All right. So another thing, the Google My Business website, there's a website tab. Now, even if you have a website that you had somebody build for you or whatever, that's fine. You still want to go publish the Google My Business website, right? The GMB website. They give you that option. Do it. Again, it's one of those things where all you got to do is click the website tab. If you've never used it before, it will automatically build you a site, and it builds a site based upon your photos and your service item menu that I was just talking about previously. And then you can add content to it, which I recommend that you do. Grab some content from your website if you want, and just paste it into that GMB website and use that if you want to. That's fine. Because again, you're just reinforcing to Google that, from the content from your existing website, you can just paste that in if you wanted, or you can have new content added. Then the other thing is, So again, that's very important. And from within that website, the GMB site, the text you can actually link. So, for example, you can have different sections within the text of that website that you're adding the text to, and you could have for your example, Tersh, again with plumbing, HVAC, and electrical services, you want to have a different section within the article body of that website for each one of those, and you could actually link from within the GMB website over to your primary website to those separate categories or sections on your site. And so now you're creating this interlinking between your Google properties and your website, and it's just reinforcing to Google, it's validating to Google that you are, that you have these services, and again, it's these validation signals that most businesses aren't using. So it's very, very powerful. All right,
So
go ahead.
really quick, on that, where you said that website is that okay? So on mine, I know that I have it set up so that under website it goes straight to the website page.
Hmm.
All right, so it has my like www.icebound.us.
Okay.
Is that are you saying that's incorrect? Is there somewhere else that the GMB
Okay,
website is
I can
supposed to be?
understand your confusion. So what I'm saying is inside your GMB dashboard, if you look on the left-hand side, which is where all these tabs are that I'm talking about, you start with,
Oh, I totally understand now. I
yeah.
see it. Okay,
So
it's on the left hand side.
yeah,
Okay.
so there's a website tab, and if you click that and you've never published the GMB
Yeah.
website, it will auto create the site for you using the photos that using
Uh huh.
photos that you have. And if your service menu, it'll also, guys, it pulls in testimonials from your Google reviews, which is
Huh.
fabulous. It
Yeah.
will pull in your service item menus if you have them. If you don't, like I said, make sure that you start adding those. Then you get to add you can also change like the theme or the template. It gives you the option to do that. Then there's the text editor where you can add the text, like I said, and you can even just copy content from your existing website and paste it into there. What you want to, and I call that theme mirroring. Okay, that's very important because if you have, like I said, if you have a plumbing category or section on your site, HVAC, electrical, and guys, think about this. This applies to any one of your businesses. I'm just using Tersh's as an example. Um, then you want to link from within the text over to those areas on your website as well, because again, it's telling Google, it's just reinforcing relevancy. All right. um, and then what happens is once you've added the text, you still need to publish the site. Okay, and so if you
Mhm.
publish the site, and there's a setting for that, it's very simple, guys. All of these things, every one of you that are listening to this can do. You don't need a professional to do this for you. You can certainly hire a professional to do it. These are all things that you can do on your own. Okay. um, Once you publish the website, now this is key. When you go to publish the website, Google's going to give you a specific website URL. It's on their own domain. It's a subdomain.business.site. So, and it'll give you some ugly long subdomain. It's stupid. So, what you want to do is click to edit that. When you first publish the site, it's going to publish the site and it'll say your new URL is, and it will give you this really long, ugly thing that ends with .business.site, but you can click to edit that. So just in that field, I recommend that you click to edit the subdomain part of it and put in your company name, or you can use a keyword, but I recommend using your company name. It should always be about branding, right? You should
Yeah.
always be branding your business, not trying to just stuff keywords in places. Okay. That was like in 2012, that's what we did. In
Right.
2019, it's really much better about branding.
Yeah.
Okay. So, put your company name in there as the subdomain and then save that. Now, keep in mind, sometimes Google will replace the website URL for your Google listing that is normally your primary website URL with that new URL that's created. So once you've created or published that site, you've optimized the subdomain to your company name, which is what I recommend. So you save that. Now you've got your new URL. So let's just use, what was your company name again?
Icebound.
Okay, so it would be icebound.business.site. That would be your new GMB website URL. Then go back to the info tab and check to see if your primary website URL for your Google listing has been changed to icebound.business.site. And if so, that's fine. What you want to do is click to edit that, and it's going to pop up a window, and you want to put your primary website URL back in as your main website. And then there's an appointment URL field, and you can add that .business.site, in this case, icebound.business.site URL in the appointment URL field, and then click save. All right. And so that'll make sure that your primary website URL stays the same. But now in the appointment URL, unless, by the way, if you already have an appointment scheduling app that you're using, then you don't need to replace that appointment URL with your your Google website URL, but a lot of people don't. So that's an extra field that you can utilize and place your Google My Business website URL there. But if you really have a valid scheduling app, don't replace it, because then you're going to lose that ability. But anyways, point is, use that website, guys. And here's the next part of it that I want to talk about and this is where the magic happens. I mean this, and it's is the GMB posts again on the left hand sidebar where all the tabs are that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We've already talked about photos. We've talked about the info tab. We've talked about GMB website. Now there's the post tab. The post tab is really, really powerful for mobile marketing, for reaching mobile searchers. All right. And that is just like Facebook posts, except it's within Google My Business. What happens is when you click that to create a post, it's just like a blog within your Google Maps listing. It's image based. Essentially, you can upload a photo. This, guys, again, this is prime opportunity to use the photos that you're now taking because you're
Yeah.
listening to this podcast. And you're going to be taking photos from your phone, putting them in a Google Photos folder. Now what you want to do is click to upload a photo for your post. Go grab one of your images from your Google Photos album, okay? Because it's got the geodata impressed upon it, and you want to use one of those photos, and it's completely relevant because it's going to be photos of you, your company trucks, your shop, your jobs that you're working on, all of that. So it's completely relevant to your business. Upload a photo, and then you have 1,500 characters of text. You don't have to go crazy there. I just do very, very, very short type of posts for my clients and my own lead generation assets that are strong call to action posts. And let me explain something here. Something else that, and I know I'm running away with this, dude.
No, you're good. This is like gold here.
I'm
This is all good
fascinated
stuff.
with this
This is
stuff.
good stuff.
One of the things that I'm going to tell you about before we get back to the posts is there's also in the left-hand sidebar, the tabs area where I'm talking about all these different sections, there's what's called insights. Okay. GMB insights is essentially Google Analytics for your maps listing. All right. If you click on the insights tab, at the very top, you're going to see the search queries that have given your listing, your Google My Business profile, exposure in maps, right, to searchers. You're going to see the queries that Google gave your business exposure for. All right. And so one of the things that you guys will start seeing regularly, especially if you start optimizing your profile and you start getting more exposure, is one of the biggest drivers of traffic now is near me keywords. So HVA repair near me,
Oh yeah.
HVAC contractor near me, electricians near me, and or variations thereof. So near me could be nearby, close to me, in my area. Those are, I mean, it's huge. Like 40 to 50% of traffic now is being, because I told you mobile devices is where most traffic's coming from. And people learned, Google trained people to start using near me search queries. How did that happen? Well, think about this, guys. When you take your mobile device and you start to type in a search query from a mobile device, so you go to google.com and you start typing in, or even speaking a search query in, but let's use typing.
Yeah.
Uh, what happens on the screen?
It
Well,
automatically populates it.
half the screen gets taken up by your keyboard, and the other half of the screen gets taken up by suggested search phrases,
Yeah.
right? And those near me search phrases, when you're on a mobile device, are always suggested when it's a search with local intent. And so people typically don't even finish typing out a search query anymore. They just tap what the search query that's most, or the suggested search query that's most relevant to what their original intent was, anyways. And so near me, guys, is huge. And so if you look at Google Insights, that's the analytics, and start showing you the queries that are showing giving your business exposure for. Near me keywords are nearby, close to me, in my area. Those type of search queries you're going to see start popping up. So here's key. How do you utilize that? How do you take advantage of that? Well, you can drag and drop a mouse from a desktop on that information and right click, copy and paste, copy it and paste it into a spreadsheet. And then you can literally have a list of keywords there that now you can start using in your GMB post, which is what I was just starting to tell you about with the post. Posts are like blog posts for your maps listing. And so now, again, back to the post tab, click to create a new post. You upload one of your Google Photos, that's stored in your Google Photos album that now you're taking from your mobile devices out in the field, because that's going to really help with your SEO across the board. And then in the post, the text body of that post, really simply, like, it's how people have always said to me, like, well, how do you use near me search keywords? Like, how do you use those without it sounding spammy? Very simple. Say like, did you just search? Start the very top of the post text says, did you just search, and then put in quotes, HVAC contractor near me, question mark. Well, look no further.
Yeah.
We provide, air conditioning and heating repair services in Dallas, Texas, for an example, whatever. Give us a call for a free quote now. And then boom, put your phone number. And then you get to add a button or a call to action. That's what they call it, a call to action button.
Hmm.
You always want to add a button, because then you can drop a link in there. I always usually use learn more or book or something like that. There's different options you can select for what the button says, but learn more or book or something like that. And then you drop a URL in, so a link back to your website. And I'm going to tell you some tips here, some suggestions here on how to really get the best results from the GMB post as well. But the point is that Google gives you the keys to the kingdom, guys. I'm not kidding you. It's funny how, if you go look at your insights report and pull the keywords out, the search queries that are relevant to your business, sometimes you're going to get exposure for non-relevant queries. That's fine. So you obviously don't want to target those.
Right.
But the ones that are relevant to your business, if you start optimizing your GMB posts for those different queries, you will start getting more traffic, more clicks from those exact same search queries. It's crazy. It's like Google tells you, hey, use these. If you use
Yeah.
these, we're going to give you more leads.
That's really
you
cool.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the key here is posting often and frequently. All right. And that's where most businesses fall flat, is because even if you look, I get it. You guys are all running your own businesses. Unless you have an in-house team that does marketing for you, or you hire somebody like me to do it for you, you're probably likely not going to do it regularly and consistently. Let's
Right.
just be honest. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But there's so much magic that can be had in doing that. And I'm telling you, it's so important, because if you are uploading the geotagged images, you can start targeting various locations outside of your immediate adjacent area. Remember, I talked about the proximity issue. So you can start including, like, did you just search, HVAC contractor near me in Dallas, or in Fort Worth, or something like that. And so now you're getting those near me search queries with geotagged images. Make sure that it's an image that matches the geodata matches the area that you're trying to target. And then you can add that location modifier in there, like, did you just search near whatever near me in Dallas. Make sure that you've got a Dallas photo. Now you've added the Dallas keyword into it as well. And again, this is where Google will start to display those posts on
Hmm.
mobile devices. If you look at the post preview on a desktop, which is probably where you're going to be publishing the post from, I get
Right.
that.
Hmm.
It looks very, very different than it does on a mobile device. On a mobile device, those posts actually will take up the entire screen, and Google will show those for searches. And it's just insane, because it's just like it takes up all the real estate on the search page. Um,
Hmm.
so those are really, really powerful. And then the last part that I want to mention about that is, I talked about using the buttons. Always use a button. You can also use, there's a call to action button, which is a tap to call button, which will, if on a mobile device, which that's what these posts are designed for. If somebody taps that button, it'll automatically pull up their dialer on their phone with your phone number from your GMB listing populated. So it'll call you essentially.
Hmm.
That's fine too. But for SEO purposes, I recommend, so you can sprinkle those in throughout, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
for
Makes sense.
SEO purposes, you want to use the buttons that have the ability to add a URL, and then link to your website, your homepage, link to the different category pages. So again, Tersh, in your case, if you have a
Hmm.
different page for plumbing and one for electrical and one for HVAC, you want to link to different, obviously you want to make sure that the keywords used in the post match to what you're linking to,
Yeah.
but link to that GMB website URL that you just published. Link to your Facebook page. Link to if you are on, some of the bigger, Yelp. God forbid. I mean, you still have to have a Yelp listing, right?
Yes.
So link to your Yelp page. You want to link to, like I said, your Facebook page. If you've got a YouTube channel, if you're using any other major social media, if a LinkedIn company page, things like that, you want to link to, if you published any press releases. I'm a big proponent of press releases for local businesses.
Mm.
So if you publish press releases, link to one of your press releases that's highlighting your business, things like that. Those are all what I call tier one or branded assets, right? And what you're doing, when you start linking to these various branded assets, different business directory listings, anytime you've been, especially local directories, if you've been, anywhere at all that you're published on, your company name has been published on the web. If you start linking and just rotating through, so here's a trick: have a spreadsheet that you put, your top, go find your top, 10 or 15 places that your business is listed online. How do you do that? Go to Google, search your company name plus the company phone number. So just in the search field, put your company name and phone number, and just go through the top 2 pages and collect all the URLs and copy and paste them into a spreadsheet. And then now when you go to do GMB posts, just start rotating through those links and using those links as the button URLs. And the reason I say that is because what happens is now you're telling Google, you're starting to train Google about who you are and that you're present in all of these digital assets, these web properties, and that starts to build authority in Google's eyes. And again, this is how you manipulate guys, and you start to
Wow.
outdo your competitors because they won't know what hit them.
Yeah, this is like next level, like mind blowing stuff. It's like, yeah,
Well,
it's like
like
jaw
I said,
sitting open type stuff.
it's not. It may sound easier than I mean. Honestly, it really is that easy.
Yeah.
The drawback is consistency.
Right. Right.
Unless you're consistent. One last thing about posts, though, I want to
Uh-huh.
mention is on your GMB website. That's also, there's a whole section that the posts, whenever you publish a post, it basically like it shows the most recent posts on the website too. So again, every time you create a post, it basically updates that website dynamically, and so it constantly is staying updated. And again, it's just another really good signal. So to kind of conclude with that, guys, all of those things will really get you results. And it's crazy because, as I mentioned before, we may think about things having a profile to have to rank in maps in order for you to get results. You start doing these things, eventually you're going to rank anyways. But even if you're not ranking, it doesn't matter. You will start to get more leads and more traction in your GMB insights. So the insights are just like analytics. You can take a look at that, and I guarantee you, if you start implementing some of these strategies and you monitor your insights, look at it on a monthly basis or a biweekly basis, and every time you look at it, you're going to see an increase in activity, numbers, phone calls, exposure to your listings. You'll see an increase in search query activity, all of that kind of stuff. And then again, if that doesn't excite you, I don't know what would.
So one last question, and we'll wrap it up. The metadata, the tags. Is there a way for you to search an image to figure out if it's there or not there, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, what you can do is, well, I can tell you from a Windows type of computer.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. I don't use Apple computers, so but from a Windows computer, if you right click on the image, so like on the file name, and then you go down to properties and click on properties from the right click menu, and then you look at the details. You should be able to scroll down, and you'll see in the details you'll see what's called EXIF data, and that's essentially the geotag data. You'll see latitude and longitude like literally impressed upon the like you'll see so geo coordinates on there, so that's how you know. Now you can also optimize those fields if it's that again, I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but
Yeah.
within that properties tab, you can actually click on like the title and the comments and things like that, and add additional keywords. That certainly requires a lot of time if you're going to be doing stuff like that. But there's for example, there's like a free program that you can download. It's a desktop software called GeoSetter. I think the website to download is geosetter.de. And again, it's free. And that's a EXIF data editing tool. So you can literally import a bunch of photos into the software and then go in and set up a template that has all your contact information. So essentially you can put your name, address, and phone number as part of the metadata of the image, and then click save and select all and save, and it will impress upon all of those images that in the metadata your name, address, and phone number. You could put your URL in there. You could put
Dang.
your URL to your Google Maps listing, things like that. And so you can actually add additional metadata. But the key is, if you don't want to do all that, which I get it, the primary thing that you want to do is just start taking photos from your phone in different locations.
Location.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Cool, Bradley. I appreciate it. And I know that everybody's listening is super appreciative too. And if they want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
We should have a welcome page up by the time that this goes live at semanticmastery.com/SBM for Service Business Mastery.
Perfect.
And on that page, you guys can find out about our Hump Day Hangouts if you were curious about asking questions about any of the stuff that we talked about today, or anything at all digital marketing related to your business. We'd be happy to answer on Hump Day Hangouts, again, weekly free webinar. And then there's also some bonuses and goodies if you opt in that we'll send you, that can help you with your own marketing. And I really appreciated getting a chance to talk with, every time I get to talk with an actual contractor, man, I get excited.
It is really cool because the stuff that you mentioned is stuff that most of us don't think about. We're thinking about putting out fires in our business and not these simple tips that we really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us.
Yeah, well, the
So,
last thing I would mention then is, just like I said, guys, this is something that, you can do on your own, but I know a lot of you probably won't. And so
mhm,
if you can hire that out. I recommend guys not going with big box marketing agencies. And I say that because, as a former contractor myself, I know how they treat you, and it's not very well. Find a local marketer consultant, like a guy like me, in your local
yeah,
area, and hire them
mhm,
to do your marketing. I'm not kidding. They'll treat you so much better, and it's much more hands on.
yep. Shop local, buy local.
Yep.
Cool. I appreciate it, man. Thank you again, and I look forward to speaking with you again in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tersh, for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Service Business Mastery Podcast. The podcast focused on service business owners, managers, and technicians who are considering becoming business owners themselves. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, if you want to reach out to me, feel free to reach out to me, Tersh at icebound.us. That's my business email address. I've found that it's probably easier to send me messages there. I check that pretty often. You'll actually get an autoresponder letting you know that I only check it twice a day. It's one of those things that I'm trying to automate my life and structure things so I'm not sitting in front of the computer every time it dings. I'm checking emails. I'm trying my hardest to force myself into that routine, and then also my clients. I want to train them so that they're not expecting a response instantaneously. Just a little tip for you: if you find yourself constantly in email conversations all day long, just set up an autoresponder and let them know that you only check your emails twice a day. If you want to test it out, feel free to send me an email and just say, I'm testing your autoresponder, and you don't have to reply or something to that effect, and we'll know exactly why you're sending me an email. Again, that's Tersh at icebound.us, not .com. I know it's crazy. It confuses a lot of people. The guy that owns the .com domain wants $45,000 for it. So, .us it is. I'm sure there's several listeners out there who have had a similar struggle. But anyways, I told you that this episode is going to be super exciting. I hope I didn't disappoint, because it was crazy how much stuff that I really didn't know to even look for in my GMB. So my challenge to you is to go forth and implement what you've heard. Like, just do it, and you'll be amazed with the things the response that you get from it. If you found value in this episode, please share it. It's a free episode, but that's the cost. Share it with a friend and leave us a review. Please write us down something. Have a wonderful day. Thank you again for listening to the Service Business Mastery Podcast.